Have you ever done a Feng Shui cure for money, only to feel like your bank account got quieter, not louder? You lit a candle to attract wealth. You placed a red object in your lucky corner. You followed some tip on the internet that said fire brings fortune. But then, your cash flow stalled. Or worse, your house started feeling heavy, even tense. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Fire is one of the most powerful forces in Feng Shui. It can fuel passion, spark clarity, and burn through stagnation. But used wrong, it can scorch your energy and silently drain your wealth. This episode is not about blaming your candles or tossing your crystals. It's about tuning into the quieter mistakes, the ones that sneak in with good intentions, but leave behind a trail of burnt-out luck and scattered chi. So if you've ever wondered why things slow down every time you try to activate your money luck, this might be the episode that saves you from unknowingly burning your own fortune. And if you feel a little seen already, tap that like button. Subscribe for more deep Feng Shui wisdom. And share this video with someone who's been lighting one too many lucky candles lately. Let's walk into the fire together, but this time with wisdom. It always starts with something beautiful. A candle glowing soft in the corner of your room. You light it with a quiet wish. More money, more warmth, more flow. And for a moment, it feels right. But a few days later, things start to misalign. You lose a check you meant to deposit. Your mood feels strangely scattered. You snap at someone over something small. You can't explain it, but your space doesn't feel held anymore. It's as if something opened, but nothing is holding it steady. In Feng Shui, fire is a fast-moving, transformative element. It's passion, speed, visibility, attention. It stirs the air, lifts the chi, and calls things into motion. But fire also needs grounding. Without earth beneath it, fire becomes unstable. It flickers, flares, and leaves chaos behind. A candle placed directly on wood or glass without intention can throw off the energy grid of the whole room. You don't see it, but your space does. And it reacts. By feeling restless, sharp, and unanchored. This mistake often shows up in those of us who are yearning. Yearning for progress, for movement, for proof that something is working. You light that flame because you want to believe your energy is shifting. You want the money to come in, the clarity to land. But deep down, you're also afraid it won't. So you rush the ritual. You skip the grounding. And what begins as hope becomes a frantic grasp. That's not your fault. It's just what happens when fire meets fear. Lighting a Feng Shui candle without grounding it is like sending a rocket into the sky without checking the wind. Sure, it lifts, but where it lands, no one knows. Sometimes it hits the jackpot. Sometimes it hits your own roof. It's that same feeling as lighting a birthday candle, making a wish, and then realizing you didn't even think it through. You just wanted anything to change. From a practical lens, an ungrounded candle can cause actual stress. Flames trigger the sympathetic nervous system. If your body doesn't feel safe, that fire won't bring peace. It brings micro-anxiety. It's not woo-woo, it's your brain's wiring. That flicker is primal. Without balance, it burns your calm away. So next time you light a candle for wealth, do this first. Place it in a heavy, heat-safe bowl. Sprinkle a little salt underneath for grounding, or set it atop a stone coaster, something that whispers earth. Take a breath before you light it. Say your intention out loud. Then watch the flame. If it dances, let it. But know this time, the fire isn't running wild. It's held. And because it's held, so are you. And hey, if you've ever balanced your candle on top of an upside-down coffee mug because it looked aesthetic, yeah, me too. Turns out, style doesn't always come with stability. But that's the fun part of Feng Shui. We get to laugh at our own fire drills while learning how to stay warm without burning the house down. It looks so clean, right? A sleek candle next to a brass sculpture. A red vase sitting on a metal tray. Maybe even a little burner nestled on a gold shelf. Pinterest would approve. And you think, fire and metal, two strong elements, that must be good Feng Shui. But something doesn't sit right. Your ideas don't land. Your motivation dips just a little too fast. You feel sharp 1 minute, sluggish the next. It's not a crisis, but it's like your momentum keeps slipping through invisible cracks. And deep down, a part of you wonders why everything feels off-center. In Feng Shui's elemental cycle, fire creates earth. Earth supports metal. But fire and metal, they don't naturally play nice side by side. Fire melts metal. Metal cuts fire. They cancel each other out, or worse, stress each other out. So when you place a flame too close to a metallic object, a copper bowl, a stainless steel lantern, a chrome frame, you're unknowingly creating energetic tension. It's like putting a loud drummer next to a chess player. One wants to move fast, the other needs stillness. Instead of harmony, you get inner noise. Your space can't decide what to feel, and neither can you. This mistake often belongs to the high-functioning perfectionist, the one who craves order and polish. You want your home to look intentional. You want success to feel like something you designed, not stumbled into. So you layer symbols: fire for drive, metal for wealth, and think, if I combine them, I'll get both. But Feng Shui isn't algebra. It's not a sum of parts. It's a language of energy. And your body knows when the sentence doesn't make sense. It shows up in mental fog, in decision fatigue, in that silent pressure to always get it right, even when you don't know what right is. Placing fire beside metal is like hosting a dinner party and seating your loudest aunt next to your most introverted friend. They might smile through it, but under the surface, it's awkward. You can feel the discomfort in the room. It's the same when you set a scented candle right on a metal tray, and then wonder why you feel jittery while journaling. Your space isn't relaxing. It's negotiating. All because the elements are whispering, this isn't working. From a nervous system lens, metal reflects and fire stimulates. Together, they bounce energy around instead of absorbing it. Your eyes pick up the contrast. Your body picks up the clash. And over time, it leads to micro-irritation. Not loud enough to call stress, but quiet enough to wear you out. Here's a simple shift. If you love metal, give it its own space: cool, clean, still. Let your fire live in softer corners. Use a ceramic base or stone, or even wood if balanced right. If they must share a shelf, place a buffer, a small plant, a crystal, even a folded cloth in between. It tells the room, these two are guests, not rivals. And you'll feel the shift. Your thoughts slow down, your mood steadies, and your home exhales. I once placed a bright red candle on a shiny silver tray because it looked editorial. I even Instagrammed it. 12 likes, 1 migraine, and 0 sleep later. I moved it to a clay bowl and suddenly remembered how to breathe. Feng Shui isn't about showing off your shelf styling. It's about feeling okay at 10 p.m. when the room is quiet and your thoughts finally stop racing. You probably didn't notice when it stopped working. That red candle you never relit. The incense box you bought during a hopeful season. The lucky lighter shaped like a dragon that hasn't sparked in months. It's all still there, sitting quietly on your shelf. Not active, not loved, just lingering. And every time you walk by, a small voice in your gut says, I should do something with that. But you don't. You tell yourself it still holds meaning. That one day, maybe, the energy will return. But in Feng Shui, stale fire objects are like expired batteries. They don't light anything. They just sit heavy, collecting psychic dust. Fire is movement. It needs ignition, attention, presence. When you leave fire tools, untouched candles, burners, fire charms, they shift. Not toward calm, toward decay. What once was a spark becomes energetic noise. It pulls on the chi of the room, creating drag. Especially when it once had meaning. Old fire tools whisper, not scream. They say, you forgot me, or worse, you gave up. And those whispers echo through your space. Even if your conscious mind isn't listening, this mistake belongs to the sentimental magician, the one who remembers the intention behind every object. You don't want to throw away the red candle from your new moon ritual, because that night meant something. You keep the unlit matches from the trip to Santa Fe, because they remind you of who you were becoming. You hold on because it hurts to admit a phase has passed. But here's the truth. Your space only honors who you are becoming. When it's not weighed down by who you used to be, keeping dead fire around won't rekindle your luck. It just clutters the altar. Holding on to expired fire objects is like keeping old party balloons in your closet. They were once bright, full of helium, floating with purpose. Now they're half deflated, wrinkled, dusty. You don't want to toss them, but they don't bring joy anymore. They don't lift anything. They just sag in the corner and remind you of a feeling you're not having right now. That's not nostalgia. That's energetic weight. Visually, unused fire items trigger a subtle energy of incompletion. The brain registers them as tasks undone. Neuroscience calls it open loops. Too many of these drain focus, reduce clarity, and subtly spike cortisol. You're not lazy. You're energetically overloaded by things you meant to finish, but never did. Here's what you can do. Pick one fire object you haven't touched in a while. Hold it. Close your eyes. Ask, does this still serve my fire? If the answer is no, thank it out loud. Dispose of it respectfully. Burn it safely, if it's small. Wrap it and let it go. If it's something you truly want to keep, reactivate it. Light the candle again. Smudge the burner. Place the dragon lighter under sunlight. Let it feel seen. Let it feel chosen again. I once found an old red candle in my drawer, still half used from a wealth attraction ritual 2 years ago. I couldn't throw it away, so I lit it just to say goodbye. It sputtered, smoked, and died out in 6 seconds. I took the hint. Now I keep fewer fire tools, but every one of them gets to be alive. Because in Feng Shui, a single candle with presence beats a shelf full of forgotten flames. Every single time. If you're feeling this, if these mistakes are starting to feel a little too real, that's probably a good sign. It means you're ready to shift not just your decor, but the way your space supports your actual life. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. We've got more Feng Shui wisdom coming. That's not about trends. It's about truth. And you deserve a home that's aligned with it. You had a moment, a spark of courage. You lit a candle with real intention, maybe after a job loss or a heartbreak. You wrote your desire down. You whispered your wish. You sat in the glow of that flame and felt something shift inside you. Then life moved on. The dishes needed washing. Your inbox got loud again. And slowly, the ritual became a memory. The fire faded. And so did the clarity it gave you. You thought it was a one-time thing. But deep down, something in you kept hoping the magic would just keep running on its own. In Feng Shui, fire isn't a vending machine. It's not insert candle, receive luck. It's a relationship. Fire responds to presence, not just intention. When you light a ritual flame, you're setting a vibration in motion. But like all energy, it needs maintenance. Not obsession. Not constant fidgeting. Just attention. A ritual that's done once and never touched again becomes a closed loop. It seals off the qi you tried to open. And instead of flow, you get silence. The fire doesn't stop working. It just stops listening. This one's for the seekers who are also tired. You've done the journal prompts. You've burned the sage. You've sat with the candle, the incense, the red string. And part of you just wants it to be enough already. You want the universe to say, okay, wish granted. But fire rituals aren't magic tricks. They're invitations. To return. To notice. To stay in conversation with your own desire. And yes, that can be exhausting. But it can also be quietly beautiful. Because the fire you return to is the one that remembers who you're becoming. Treating fire rituals as one-time fixes is like going to the gym once and wondering why you're still tired. You moved, you stretched, you even broke a sweat. But strength comes from consistency. So does clarity. So does money. A fire ritual is a spark, not a finish line. It's the candle you relight, the incense you refresh, the journal you open again, even when you don't feel like it. Especially then. Our brains are built for repetition. Rituals activate the basal ganglia, the part of the brain that stores identity through habit. So a one-time ritual doesn't anchor the change. It flares, then fades. Consistency is what tells your nervous system, this is who I am now. That's when things start to stick. Not just energetically, but biologically. So if you've done a fire ritual once and left it at that, go back. You don't need to repeat it exactly. You just need to revisit the energy. Even lighting a match with a quiet breath of thanks can reopen the channel. Set a reminder on your phone. Make it a Sunday thing. Let it be small. Let it be enough. But let it continue. That's how fire transforms. Not in one blaze, but in steady warmth. I used to light a candle for abundance every time rent was due. Then I'd blow it out, cross my fingers, and hope for a miracle. No journal, no follow-up, just fire and wishful thinking. It was like swiping right on the universe and never texting back. Eventually, I started showing up, even just for 5 minutes. Same candle, same me, but with a little more presence. Turns out, the universe likes it when you follow through. You wanted to shift the energy, so you lit a flame. In a room full of laundry, half-finished books, unopened mail. There was no space to walk, but you wanted magic to move anyway. You thought, this will clear things up. But instead, it added tension. Like putting caffeine in a system already overloaded. The candle flickered, the air thickened, and your mind didn't feel clearer. It felt more electric. Not alive, just restless. You didn't realize that by adding fire to a cluttered room, you weren't awakening energy. You were amplifying chaos. Fire expands whatever energy is already present. If the space is calm, fire sharpens clarity. If the space is tense, fire intensifies noise. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't clean. It charges. That's why fire rituals need space literally. If your room is cramped, emotionally cluttered, or visually overwhelming, fire will push that into the atmosphere. Your intentions get swallowed. Your nervous system gets lit up in all the wrong ways. It's like yelling into a room that's already too loud. You don't get heard. You just raise the volume. This mistake shows up in the overgivers. You've taken care of everyone else. You've handled the logistics. You've stretched yourself to the point of depletion. And now you want something back. So you reach for fire. Not because you're ready, but because you're desperate. You light a candle hoping it'll reset something. But instead of ease, you feel heat. And not the comforting kind. It's the heat of too much. Too fast. Too tight. And deep down, your body whispers, I need space before I can handle power. Lighting fire in a cluttered space is like trying to meditate in a nightclub. The intention is there, but the environment says no. You're calling in focus, but surrounded by flashing lights and noise. Even if you mean well, your ritual gets drowned out. And later, you wonder why it didn't work. Studies show that clutter increases cortisol. Now add fire, an element that already stimulates the brain. The result? Heightened alertness without direction. Your body reads it as stress. So instead of aligning with clarity, you stay in low-key survival mode. And your decisions reflect that. Before you light any candle, pause. Look around the space. Is there room to receive? Clear one corner. Fold one blanket. Put away the dishes, even if just 2. That tiny shift invites breath. And where there's breath, there's capacity. Only then does fire become a guide, not a spark in the dark. Start small, make space, and let your flame land gently. I once lit incense in a room where every chair had a jacket on it, and every surface had a mug. I called it intentional chaos. The incense called it suffocating. The smell didn't cleanse the room. It just fought for air. Now I clear a spot, even if it's just one. Because fire doesn't need a palace, just a little respect and a place to breathe. You don't need to fear fire in Feng Shui. You just need to meet it with presence. Because fire will always reflect what's already inside. Your clarity, your frustration, your desire to change, even when you don't know how yet. So if this episode made you look at your candles, your corners, or even your chaos a little differently, let that be enough for today. Drop a comment below. Tell me which fire mistake hit closest to home, or which one you secretly knew about but needed to hear again. And if you haven't already, hit that like button. Subscribe to stay close to this kind of slow, true Feng Shui wisdom. And share this video with someone who's been unknowingly lighting fire on top of fire. You might just help them cool the chaos. And finally, light the path back to peace. And if you're ready to keep walking that path, watch the next video in the ritual series. 5 Feng Shui mistakes you can gently fix with water and air. It's quiet. It's deep. And it might just be the breath your space has been waiting for. Your space speaks. Wisdom listens.